reason. Okay, here we go. All right, so we're talking about seglet patterns. And Jason will probably want to go through this with you because I will probably do an insufficient job by his standards. But let's take a look here. And he talks about the Cottle pattern, right? And the reason why they talk about the Cottle pattern is because originally, let's consider a, well, I need to share screen. Let's consider, and how did Jason want me to do this? Zoom, whole page? Nope. Anyway, let's just do it this way. I'm just going to do it this way. So can you see? Let's see here. All right. So let's consider, he calls it the Cottle pattern. And anytime you see this, a star here, that means that it's a theoretical form and doesn't actually exist in the Bible. Okay, so let's take, knowing this then, let's take a seglet and consider Melech, because that's the one everybody remembers. I need to make this bigger, don't I?
Yeah.
Better?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the reason why he calls it Cottle is because the first form was Malk. So Malk. Okay, does that make sense? So that's why a seglet pattern is called the Cottle pattern. And I don't know why I put a Dagesh in there. I didn't mean to put a Dagesh in there. Oh, well, there it is. Okay, so Malk. So that's the first form. Okay, and then he goes through the different processes or the different steps. So the base form, and we know this because we see it in Akkadian, is Malku. It's been a long time since I've Malku with a long U, right? Make sure that, oh no, it's a short U actually. So Malku goes to, so the U on the end, what do you think the U on the end is? Anybody have any ideas? What if I told you that way back in the day, Marcella, by the way, you're muted. If you mean to be muted. I couldn't tell if you were saying anything.
I was starting to say something.
Yes, so say
that's the case endings, right?
Yes, very good. So this is your nominative, Malku, and we get this idea from the Akkadian and Arabic, which preserved their case endings. Well, Arabic preserved the case endings. Akkadian had the case endings. The Akkadian case endings is Malkum with a mem on it. But in any case, it's an old case ending. Over time, the case ending fell off, so you get Malk, right? Does that make sense? That's the first step.
Yeah.
And then remember, Hebrew doesn't like consonant clusters.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to add a vowel. Malik. Right?
Yeah.
So it's going to add that extra syllable. Right? It's going to make it 2 syllables and avoid that consonant cluster. And then the last step is melek, because it echoes the second vowel, the I vowel. So really, what happened here, Malk actually, sorry, the short vowel actually goes, there's an intermediate step. Does he talk about the internet? He doesn't talk about the intermediate step. No, he doesn't. Okay, so remember all original E vowels were I vowels. So the E vowel changes and it goes to milk. Funny, right? Milk to melek, it shifts to E. And so that's what you have. Easy enough, right? Does that make those steps make sense for seglets?
Yeah.
So old case ending drops, A goes to E, or A goes to an I vowel, because remember all E vowels were originally I vowels, right? And then you have melek.
Wouldn't it be milik because of the consonant cluster?
It might be, but I don't remember that. So that's why I was tentative in putting that there.
Okay.
And we have this in let's see, where do we have evidence of that form in, I think in Ugaritic. I think king is milk, I think. But if you want to go off of what he has, you can. I could be mistaken on that step. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure I did it in my Northwest Semitic class, but that was 11 years ago. So it's been a long time. So Malku to Malk, and I guess if you want to, you can following the Akkadian. Malkum. So, oh, and this isn't doubled. Malkum, or Malku to Malk to milk to Melek. So if you look at the book, he has Katlu, which is Malku, right? So the AU pattern, plug where you see QTL, plug in your consonants. Right? So Malku to Malk to Malik to Melek. And in the pausal form, you notice that A, Malik, comes back and lengthens. And so then, and you go to second yod, or second guttural, sorry. So what would an example be? He uses Rosh. So let's look at Rosh. And this is not a this isn't really a seglet. So here's the root you have. Remember, even vowels were based, most of them are based on a 3 consonantal root, just like verbs are, right? Now, do you remember in intermediate, we talked about the Canaanite shift? Does that sound familiar?
No.
No? Hebrew like you might know this if you're a comic book fan. We'll see if anybody's a comic book fan.
Mhm.
You have Rosh. Can you think of any comic that has a character named might have a character named Rosh?
Raish, yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes, yeah.
Raish. Exactly.
Mhm.
Raish isn't exactly how the Arabic would be pronounced, but Rosh, head,
Mhm.
based on the Arabic, because again, Arabic didn't change. We used Arabic as the base all the way back in medieval Hebrew because we noticed that Arabic stayed constant, and didn't undergo the changes that Hebrew did. Right? So studying Arabic is a very good way to study comparative Semitics. And once we got the things like the material in Ugaritic and Akkadian later, well, actually, Akkadian came first, then Ugaritic came. Then we could see, okay, well, we see all these patterns, but we also see differences. We see intermediate steps. So anyway, the Canaanite shift, all of the long O's in Hebrew were originally long A's. So you have Rosh. So that would be pointed like Rosh, right? So that's the first form. And he says that Rosh goes to Rosh, which means that he's saying
What page are you on?
same page, but I'm looking now under second yod,
Oh.
just below the Kotel pattern.
Mhm.
So call, the first consonant followed by the A, the apostrophe is a guttural. Okay. One thing we didn't go over in here was transliteration, right?
Right.
The apostrophe is a guttural. So Rosh, and he has I think what's going on here is it's shifting to Rosh with a circumflex, means that there's contraction here. So the long A contracts. I wish I had an easy way to write circumflexes. Let me see. I probably have a way to write a circumflex on the Hebrew key map or on the transliteration key map. Just pretend that there's a circumflex over that A. So that means that long A contracts. And then the Canaanite shift takes place. And the Canaanite shift was when, I'm not sure exactly when it happened, but long A vowels became O's in Hebrew. And the interesting thing, one of the reasons why we know this is because Aramaic, for some reason, didn't undergo this change. So instead of Rosh for head, it is Rosh in Aramaic. Right? So Rosh contracts and goes to Rosh with a long O. Rosh. And then what we have. Roche. Oh, no, I got it wrong. It's Roche, isn't it? No, I had it right. So does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what he has here? Or did I miss a step? Rosh. Yeah, I think I have it. Okay. So those are basically your historical reconstructions. So let's take our Melech and look at these steps. The reason why I had you look at the phenomenon, or phenomena rather, is because I want you to be able to describe the changes that are happening, right? And that's what those words are on page 4 through 6. So let's see. Where's a text box? Text box. Text box. Text box. So can you guys hear that butt up?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna get out of that. Whoops, wrong one. I don't want to quit the meeting. It's not even open. I don't understand. 1 second. Mute. All right, got it. So let's look at the Malk. So this one is just that the case ending drops. And what we call this is a loss of a syllable. So going back to 4, because I think it's something, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to double check myself. 4 through 6. Insertion. So the insertion, okay, so look at these. Anaptixis and epenthesis, a process where a sound is added within a lexical item. So
Where
that's
are you
what
looking at?
page 4.
Oh,
Did I delete what we did on Melech?
I don't think so.
Where? Oh, here we go. So Malkum. So our anaptixis is where?
So what is that?
Where you add a syllable.
The or u.
No, nope. That was the first. That's how it started, right?
Oh,
So the first one, the case ending drops, and then it goes to Malk. Then the A goes to the I. Then.
Yeah, then it happens there, splitting the L and the K.
Yeah, Melech. This is your anaptixis.
I see.
So when milk, whoops. When milk goes to Melech, or malt goes to Melech, this is your anaptixis, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's when it's adding a syllable. So what else do we have here? Deletion, aphoresis, word initial, a process where a word initial sound is lost. For example, the independent first common plural, anachnu. Anachnu goes to nachnu. That happens sometimes in Hebrew. Apocope, a process where a word final sound is lost. Can anybody think of an example? Well, the loss of the final T from the absolute form of the feminine singular morpheme, ot. Do you remember that? Feminine singular morphemes, looking at, let's look, since we've been looking at Melech, Malka, queen, right? Notice that you have what's this in construct? Do you remember what this would be in construct? If I said, let's see.
Is it Malke? Malke?
That's masculine plural.
Oh.
Let's say that we're talking about the Catholic version of Mary, Queen of the Heavens. What would queen be? Queen of? It's been a while, right?
No, that's what it is already.
Uh-huh. What's the other feminine marker besides kamete?
The tav?
Yes, malkat.
Okay.
So that's the example he's giving you. So the reason why, remember we said with construct nouns, the tav comes back. So the original form of malka in Proto-Semitic was not malka, but malkat. And then malka with a long A, this is your apocryphation, right? Apocope. Malkat, the tav drops. And that's your apocryphation. I can only put it down there. Malkat goes to malka. So that's an example of apocryphation. So that applies to what? Melech is masculine, so it doesn't have that feature. But for feminine segolets, malka goes to malkat.
So malka is when? When do we use that?
Malka is the absolute singular form.
Oh.
Malkat is the construct form. Remember that masculine.
I have an aleph for what's the Hebrew writing? Or just a hey?
Yeah.
Hametz hey?
Yeah, for the absolute form.
How different is that from
Malka with a kametz hey? Oh, I shouldn't do it this way. So if we're doing the Proto-Semitic form, malkat. Well, I already have it down here.
Oh, so they're inverted. Never mind.
Yeah, these were inverted.
So
I
the
got rid of them.
construct form ends up that it's the Proto-Semitic form?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
the final tav comes back in the construct, and that's how we know, or that's what we think, that malkat was the original.
Got it.
In the same way that if you have verbs, third haze, gala, to uncover or reveal. Gala, do you remember this? Galata, then what? Galita. The third yod comes back. Remember, I keep saying that third haze were originally third yods?
Yeah.
So the original form was not gala with a hey, but galai with a diphthong.
Mm.
But we're not quite there yet with those vowel sounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we know that because here we have, we think, again, this third yod was the original form. So the original root then is this. And it continues. Gala, galta, galita. Galit. Galiti. All the way down through the singular. So that's the third hey. So when he talks about third hey verbs, he's going to talk about that.
Those are call.
Yeah, that's the standard form for call. For
Okay.
third hey verbs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's been a long time since we've looked at irregular verbs, right? So I don't blame you if you forgot that. So cluster reduction, a process where one of two contiguous consonants is lost. Arts, arits to arits. Terrible. I thought we were talking about arits, but we're not. Cluster reduction. One of two contiguous consonants is lost. Arits to arts. Arits. Okay. Syncope. A process where a word medial sound is lost. For example, an intervocalic glide, W, and yod, commonly syncopate. Sawam or sayam go to sam.
How do you write Sawan? Is it Vav?
Yes. We don't have that form anymore, right? This is the Proto-Hebrew form.
Hmm.
Sawam, the Vav drops. So what we have is Sam. And I think that's a Samic. What did he say?
Yeah, some.
Yeah, it's actually a scene,
Yeah.
not a Samic. That apostrophe over the S means that it's a scene.
Oh.
Yeah, so Sawam. Whoops. Goes to Sam. And this is your, what did it say it was? Is this aphoresis?
The syncope.
Syncope, word medial. Sawam or Sayam goes to Sam. Now, what verb does this come from?
the noun, you mean?
No, sawam is a verb. This is not a
The-
noun pattern.
Where does it come from?
The sin yod mem.
Yes. How do you know that?
It means to put or place or something.
Yes, but how do you know? How do you know that it's from seam? What happens here?
Mm.
Remember, we talked about how most first yod verbs were originally first vav verbs. So we have the same thing going on here. Sawam to seam.
Yeah.
So that's your root.
Hmm.
Sawam, a better way to look at this, because that's not really a form. Sawam goes to seen, or not sheen, seen yod mem. And so I shouldn't do this either. I wrote it out as a third masculine singular, but it should be this. Jason would have gotten on me for that. Whoops. Right?
Hmm.
Okay. So what else does he say? Syncope. Some, the syncope of intervocalic hey and the hifil stem, prefix conjugation. Yahashmidu goes to Yashmid. Okay, so let's pretend that we have this. Yahashmidu. Syncope. Well, first thing, what happens? I don't think he talks about this. First thing, Yahashmid. The case ending falls off,
Mhm.
right? Then
Mhm.
you have syncope. So Yashmid. You have vowel reduction. Yashmid, and that's our final form. So this is your syncope. Yahashmidu goes to, Yahashmid goes to, I'm sorry. Yeah, Yashmid. Here's your syncope. Syncope. And then, so what does he say? Are those the steps he gives? Yashmid goes to Yashmid. Yashmid. Yahashmidu, the long form. Yashmid, that's the kametz, right? And then goes to Yashmid.
And
So
the
it looks,
reduction, remind me again, we're doing reduction because the shva.
yes, I think so. He doesn't give all of the names of the different, I'm just going through the different vowel changes right now.
Mhm.
And the word changes. So we'll probably get to that. And one thing he does say is that remember, he's saying that there's Yashmid with a Hirik. So we have lengthening.
Mm.
Okay. Metathesis. Two sounds reverse their linear order for a lexical form. What's your classic example of this?
Reverse their linear order.
Yeah. this happens in the hit pile form. Let me try to think of an example here. If you have shamer or shamar, right? What do you think the form of hit shot, or well, the form is within the hit pile? You would expect hit sha mer, right?
Mhm.
And it
For hit sha, no, this is a hit pa l.
Oh,
Hit sha mer, and actually auditory learning on display again. Sere, right? And I think it's a comments as well.
so this one didn't have a original case ending, like Hitchamru.
I'm just doing this device here, just the one
Okay.
switch, just so you understand. Hit sha mer goes to, and we haven't seen this yet, right? So, but consonant clusters again, hit sha. They didn't like that hitch, so they changed it. Hishta mer. So these two flip. Hit shamer goes to hishtamer. So the classic example here, and the reason why comparative Semitics come into play in Hebrew linguistics, remember our word, our favorite word, hishta chaveh, to bow down. Remember? In the Abraham story, we had it, one of the early readings.
Mm-hmm.
What he say? We will go and we will bow down. Nishta cha. Nishta cha vu. Or I'm sorry. Is it nishta chavu? I think it is nishta chavu. That doesn't look right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say that what it is. That's what it is. So originally, before we got the Ugaritic texts, okay, and again, I can't remember what year we found them, but it was in the 20th century. I think it was in the 1950s, if I recall correctly. Originally, what they thought this was a hit pa'el undergoing metathesis. So how does this affect how we understand this word? Dang it. If it's a hit pile undergoing metathesis, what would the root be? Shacha, right?
Yes.
Shacha. But when we found the Ugaritic text, we thought that we learned that this is not a hit pa'el, but a hishtafel, because we have this in other texts. This is the only Hebrew word that does this in the Hebrew Bible, but there were more words that did it in the Ugaritic text. So we learned that this is not metathesis happening, but this is its own distinct verb stem. So we realize that the base form of hishtachaveh hishtachaveh didn't come from that root, but from chet vav hey. This is your root. This is your prefix. Hisht is your prefix. Right? So again, if prior to finding the Ugaritic text, and this is what you'll find if you open up, if you get your Brown, Driver, and Briggs lexicon, this is what it's listed under. This verb form. And this is what he says it's doing, because this is before the Ugaritic texts. Does that make sense? So long story short, in the hit pa'el, this is your metathesis. Hit goes to hisht.
Okay.
All right. All right, couple more. Is this overloading you yet? Or are you tracking?
I think I'm tracking.
You were okay. You were supposed to read this, so I'm just trying to explain the different phenomena that he's talking about here. Right?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to like prepare you for an exam or anything. I'm just trying to use examples to explain his explanations. I'm explaining his explanations because all he does was he gives the word and doesn't really give much more information, right? So let's do a couple more. So we did metathesis. Reduplication. In reduplication, a syllable is repeated either exactly or partially. For example, consider the exact reduplication of hafa. I've never seen this word. Hafak. Yes, from hapak. There is a word that you know, or that you might know, and I hope I'm spelling it right. Is it this? Code. And I think this is still a modern Hebrew word meaning head. Another word for like forehead. Code. So what was the original root here?
Yeah.
Right? And so it probably went something like, I'm doing this from memory. Kawad to cowed, and then the AW contracts to a long O, code, and then we have the reduplication. Code. Right? And I'm pronouncing the W's as W's because that's how it was originally pronounced, unless you're talking to Jason. But way back when, it was almost certainly a W because it's a W in Arabic still. Right? Jason will say, oh no, Hebrew's never a W. Never has been. And I think the reason why he says that is just because it sounds weird.
Mhm.
It's like one of my professors used to say. I said, "Do you pronounce it David or do you pronounce your do you use classical or modern pronunciation?" And he said, "Well, to tell you the truth, I use both because I think saying Daweed sounds stupid."
Yeah.
Did you have that person, Samuel?
No.
You didn't have Stone?
No.
So the reduplication, code. And there's also an example in that word of our next one, monophthongization. That's where a diphthong, a two vowel, a glide vowel, a diphthong, contracts to one vowel. So monophthongization is the fusion of two dissimilar sounds into one sound. In biblical Hebrew, the Proto-Semitic diphthongs ow and I often monophthongize when unstressed into o and a, respectively. In Semitic historical linguistics, the circumflex marks a vowel that's the product of such sound fusion. So what do we have here? Kawad goes to cowed. Right? That's your diphthong. So the AW contracts first and goes to oud, and the AW contracts to code. That's your monophthongization. So from kawad is two syllables, goes to a glide vowel, cowed, that's your diphthong, and code is your monophthong, your monophthong, hence monophthongization. What's another example? Let's see if we can find another example. Mavet. Mavet means, do you remember?
Death.
Death. Mavet originally was Mawath, that went to Mount, and it's a seglet, right? Mulk. So I'm sorry. If it's a seglet, it follows the same seglet pattern. So mount to moat. I'm sorry. Let's see. A diphthong. Think. Gotta think this through. The diphthong monophthongizes. Mount to moat contracts and goes to mavet. And that's what called when you add a syllable? It's that weird word, right?
Apocopy.
Nope. When you add a syllable, anaptixis.
Oh,
Yeah.
When Malk goes to Melek, you're adding the syllable. So mavet, you're adding a syllable. That's your anaptixis. So mount, I think it probably was. Oh, no, No. We forgot our case ending, didn't we? Moutu. Then to mount, because the case ending drops, right?
yeah.
then to mote. And what do you call that again?
That is
The monophthongization.
Monophthongization.
Monophthongization. Mount.
mouth. So mouth.
I don't know why it's not.
Mouth to moat is okay.
Moutu was the original with the case ending, right?
And mouth.
Goes to mount with syncope, the loss of the middle syllable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that what syncope is?
Yeah.
And mote is the removal of the diphthong ow to monophthongize it. Mote. And then you have mavet in the final form. So that's your anaptixis when you add that vowel. And I think there's another step because the vowel form goes to the, takes a consonant. So what is that? Malku, milk, malk. I'm sure he gives the example. Monophthongization. Oh, he doesn't give the example. And so he gives assimilation and dissimilation. And then we have the corresponding of consonants, vowel inventory. So there is a place in this book where he gives like a paradigm of the different vowel changes for different vowel patterns. I need to find that. But we'll do the last three next time. So we didn't start the lesson 4 this time, but we'll start it next time. Okay?
Mhm.
So maybe for homework, well, we still need to go over the Cook reading. But maybe for homework, you can pick 3 of those that were, pick 2. I don't want to make it too hard. But pick 2 of those types of words that we went over and take it from the base form back to the final form and give me the names of the vowel and consonant changes, syllable changes. Does that sound good? So that's not too bad.
So how do we know which forms are historical? I mean,
it's all theoretical, right? So this is all just what people think. And I think it's a pretty good theory.
So that will happen to any word?
Yes. If it's a seglet, that's what we went over mostly, are the seglet patterns, right?
Okay.
Except for Roche. But yeah, any seglet will do that.
Okay.
Second vowels will look a little bit different because that's where the monophthongization happens, because you have a glide vowel. Instead of malk, you have mout, right? So that's where that vowel contracts.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So yes, it is constant. And there, it does it with verbs and it does it with all these different types of nouns, but we're not going to go over all of them. Okay. Sound good?
Yeah.
Do you think this is kind of fun or not? It's kind of like, I joked with Dr. Cook. I was like, doing this reminds me of writing geometric proofs, and I hated geometric proofs.
I think it's interesting, yeah, to know how to recognize the forms.
It helps you. It helps you learn too. Like if you run into a form that you don't know, and you can figure it out, sort of. by knowing some of these phenomenon that it undergoes,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Hmm.
So pretty fun. I think Jason's going to like this video.
Yeah.
I'll upload it immediately so he can watch it and tell me everything that I did wrong.
Oh, shit.
All right. I should
Cool.
stop. I should stop share. Sound good?
Hmm.
Would you like for me to make an easier handout with Hebrew examples, or is the book good enough for you?
If I knew transliteration, then maybe, but
Yeah,
Maybe-
same here. It kind of slows me down seeing the transliteration.
Oh, well, maybe Jason has an excellent handout on transliteration. So maybe I'll have him send that over. Right?
Yeah.
But the most common ones that you'll have to be aware of is the vav being a W, because that's a consonantal value that's common. The scene is just your regular S. The S with a line over it, right? That we saw. I'm sorry. The regular S is just a samic. The scene with a line over the S with a line over it is your scene, and the sheen has an S with a caret, like a circumflex, upside down, like the caret, upside down caret for the sheen. But yeah, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. I'll have you. Maybe I should make that out. But he also, I think he has that at the beginning. Or, shoot, I closed it. Hold on.
yeah, he does.
Yeah, he does. So you can study that.
Mm-hmm.
And let me know if you have any questions, okay?
Okay.
All right. Okay, well, thanks. We're cutting it a little bit early because I don't want to overload you.
All right.
All right.
But I think this is kind of fun.
It is.
Yeah,
it's
this is
interesting.
good.
All right. Hopefully it'll help you with your reading. And by the way, just to reiterate, I don't think I'm going to make a final exam. This isn't for a grade. But do you want to meet after we finish this and just meet for reading? And I won't charge anything for it. But if you want to keep up with your reading, you can do that. One or both of you. Because that's something that we did it with intermediate a little bit, but
Well, I think it would
Yeah.
help, just to read
help.
through it. Yeah, and we naturally stop and discuss certain things, but it'll help me.
right. Okay, great. Okay, well, I will see you. Are we on for Tuesday, or is your schedule kind of in flux from week to week?
I should be available.
Yeah, I should be okay too.
All right, well, let me know. Remember, once a month on Thursday, I can't do Thursday. So we had our meeting for October. And I don't think, oh no, we had our meeting for November, so I won't meet again till December. So we should be good.
Yeah. Then we have Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of those.
And then Christmas is coming. And this is going to be hard for me, you guys, because this is the first time that I can't go home for Christmas.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
Wow.
Because we have a service. Christmas Eve is on a Friday. And then the day after Christmas is a Sunday.
Mhm.
So I don't want to go and, have to come back.
Mhm.
Is that what
Yeah,
you're
well,
doing,
Your
Samuel?
have your family come over.
That's what I'm trying to do, but they're like, I want to go to my own church. It's like, you
Well,
haven't even
I
been to your own church.
always get like a sub preacher. Like the day after
Ah,
Christmas, the Sunday after Christmas. So I don't have to worry about it. I've done it 2 years now.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to find one.
Well, one time I asked my DS to send me a list of people I could ask, and that worked.
You've done it for 2 years. I feel like I
Mhm.
should clear it with my people first. They may be really upset if they have a guest preacher because they really like
Well,
me, which,
you need to
which,
set them up though, like, prepare them.
right. Yeah, exactly. I like, look, is this okay if I get a sub? But I joked, they give me 2 Sundays off a year, which is ridiculous for a part time,
Wow.
right? So, do you agree, Samuel?
Well, I mean,
Um,
I get 2 basically a year too.
well, you're full time,
Mm-hmm.
right? Exactly. I'm half time.
Wow.
So I,
Anyway,
I don't think the rules really apply to you.
I know, but I'm doing what they want because I'm a freaking pushover. Um, but yeah, I said maybe I'll use my second day off and take Christmas off, and they just laughed. So I don't know how they're going to react to it. All right, folks. Thanks for meeting. I'll see you Thursday. Let me know if you have any questions.
I do.
And I hope you enjoy learning about historical Hebrew grammar. Maybe I'll split this up with Jason because some of this is kind of hard. This is about as far as we went in advanced Hebrew. What we just went over just now. He just gave us forms and had us write the processes. We had to take it from the proto to the final form, and then he said, pick the process that's going on, and he'd give us like a multiple choice. And I was like, man, you've gone soft. You've gotten soft in your later years. But one thing that he did that I won't make you do because I sucked at it was he made you go backwards from final form to proto form, which is evil, I think. Don't you think that would be harder, or is it just me? Like, I have trouble processing that way backwards.
Yeah, going backwards. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, folks. I'll let you go for real this time.
All right.
So I'll see you on Thursday. Okay.
Thanks.
All right.
All right,
Thank
good night,
you.
guys.
Good night.
Good night.